Hello, YouTube. Skippy here, coach of the Steel City Surge, back for WPF Season 3, Week Two's Team Builder. This week we are going to be matching up with Soul Blaze. I'll get into that matchup in a minute. I do want to get started with some transactions that we made prior to the end of Week 1, active for Week 2. I was not a big fan of our hazard removal on our side, but let's get into our transactions. We did make 3 moves, so we are going to have 2 remaining throughout the rest of the season. We did drop Goldango, Greedence, and Terra from Iron Crown. In return for that, we did pick up Terra on Landorus Therian. It was the same amount of points as Terra Iron Crown, and it just makes a little bit more sense since we're dropping Goldango to have a dedicated steel type on the roster. And we also picked up Swampert, which is an amazing, bulky, very versatile water and ground type, as well as Cyclozar for more hazard removal as opposed to strictly Wheezing having defog. So we do have a rapid spinner on the team. I think these moves make a lot of sense for us. We did kind of need another ground type if we were going to be giving Landorus, Therian, free Terra options. Like I said, the two of them, Iron Crown and Landorus Therian, both shared the same amount of points to Terra them, so it makes sense to swap them. We did gain 4 more points from that, so we could pick up Swampert since it was sitting there. It gives us another Stealth Rocker, gives us Flip Turn ability. Again, 1 weakness with Grass, amazing. And it gives us a variety of options. Same with Cyclozar, giving us a regen mon, even though it can be more offensive slash supporty. We do have that option now. So those were the moves that we made prior to this week, and these moves do come into effect for our matchup. And like I said before, we are going to be taking on Soul Blaze for this matchup. Soul Blaze is coach of the Ulsa City Dragon Dancers, I believe. If I butchered that name, I do apologize. But going into their team, they have Free Terra Iron Bundle, as well as Tornadus Therian, Glow King, Infernape, Regieleki, Roaring Moon, some very heavy hitters. Going into the key points for this team and this matchup specifically, Terra Iron Bundle is a threat. It's very fast, very specially offensive. I do think we have a very solid check for it, though. We'll get into that later in the team builder. I don't think Terra Gligar is much of a threat as Terra Iron Bundle, but we'll go into that later. I don't expect to see Gligar. I do expect to see Terra Iron Bundle, whether that's water, ice, even electric, maybe dragon if he really wants to feel offensive. I would also expect to see the regen core of Torn and Glow King this week. That's very hard to break. That matchup is just insanely annoying to deal with, but we'll try to deal with it the best we can. We have a couple of options to try to deal with that. I also expect to see Infernape, Roaring Moon, Tinkaton, and Lastmon. Honestly, Infernape could come, Infernape could not come. Tinkaton, same thing. I could see either Regieleki, Cryogonal, or Quaxwell showing up. Gligar, if he does want to bring that as a Terra option, could show up as well. I don't think it does, though. In Mox, I never really saw it, or the Trevenant. Even the Regieleki didn't show up because we do have Swampert now. I do expect to see Cryogonal potentially. If it wouldn't surprise me if it shows up. But going into more of the key points here, this team has a lot of speed. Half of the roster is above 100 base speed, so unfortunately we don't have webs to take advantage of that or use in any way. But something to keep in mind going forward. And the other thing is a little hazard removal with this team. He has 3 rapid spinners, but the 3 of them are Quaxwell, which is not fully evolved, Cryogonal, which is kind of frail and has a very poor typing, and then Regieleki, which is kind of forced to run it with boots, potentially if it does show up. It is very fast and can be very annoying, but we do have the option to run either Landorus, Therian, or Swampert, and kind of check it extremely hard, so I don't think it shows up either. So if we can get up some hazards on the other side of the field, we will take very good advantage of that and probably force him to run a couple of boots on his mons, potentially, which is very good to see. Going into the roster we're actually going to bring this week, we are going to start off with our Darkrai. We are going to be running Choppleberry for that Infernape with Mach Punch. Choice Band Mach Punch with an Adamant Nature does essentially KO us without this Choppleberry. So having that as an option and running Psyshock with max special attack allows us to essentially one-shot it more or less, depending on the exact spread that it is, but we should be able to take down the Infernape in one shot with Psyshock. Psyshock also does very good damage into the rest of his team as well as a whole. I mean, the bundle itself is more physically defensive. It's probably I think it's the most physically defensive mon on the team, and everything outside of that and the Roaring Moon kind of doesn't like taking the Psyshock as much, especially Glow King. It's mainly there for that, as well as Dark Pulse. Knockoff is there just to provide some disruption. Ice Beam is there as coverage for the Tornadus Therian and that Roaring Moon if we do end up going in against it. We are running some HP just to make sure Chople does its job. We are running a Timid Nature, so we outspeed everything that is not the bundle or Regieleki, or if it's Scarf or Booster Energy Moon or anything like that. So that's the Darkrai set for this week. Mainly a cleaner set, mainly a Revenge Killer, but we'll get into some fun stuff with it later this season, I'm sure. But this matchup for this, the matchup for this week, this makes a lot of sense for me. Going into our next one, we are bringing the Hariyama as our bundle check with a Terra Dragon and Assault Vest. We are running enough HP and special defense EVs that Terra Ice Blizzard is essentially a 3-shot if it hits. More or less, it depends on the rolls and depends on the very specific spread. Choice specs might be a little bit more than that, but even then, Hydro Pump, Terra Water, Terra Blast doesn't do a whole lot. Terra Electric, this thing deals with that as well. We are running Stab Drain Punch. We are running also Earthquake in case it is Terra Electric. Thunder Punch in case it's Terra Water, as well as dealing with the Tornadus Therian, which we resist the majority of its moves as Terra Dragon or are neutral. And we are running Assault Vest again, so should be taking those very, very well. Knock off again for knocking off potential boots and other items from Mons. So we are running that. And we are running Adamant with 132 attack to guarantee, I believe, at least a 2-hit KO on the bundle, regardless of what Terra it is. So as long as we have some neutral attack or even a super effective attack, we should be doing a ton of damage and taking it out in at least 2 or 3 turns, which is very, very nice for that thing because it is such a monster. This is essentially our main check for it, for that bundle. We could throw something else in depending on the specific set that it is. If it is a choice spec set, then we have some leeway with what we want to run with this. But all in all, this is our main check for that Iron Bundle. Going into our next mon for this matchup, we are going to be bringing Weezing Galar again, with Black Sludge being a more physically defensive set. This is our check for the Roaring Moon. Strange Steam is guaranteed to knock it out if it is not Assault Vest in one shot with 36 special attack EVs. We're running 196 HP, so we can get the most out of Black Sludge without forcing every single EV point into our HP and defense. We are also running 24 special defense just to fill that out. We are running a Bold Nature as well, just to go with that max special defense, or max physical defense, sorry. We are also running Toxic Spikes to try to get some Toxic Chip on the opposing side if Glow King doesn't show up for whatever reason. If it does show up, we are bringing Taunts so that we can prevent Toxic Spikes from going up, or even Thunder Wave from the Glow King, and even other moves that it wants to use, like Chilly Reception. We are also bringing Haze in case of Dragon Dance or Scale Shot Roaring Moon, just in case that does end up showing up. So we are covering most grounds with Roaring Moon with Weezing Galar. We can bring it out on some other mons, but we preferably want to switch it in on Roaring Moon, either cleanly or just switch up on a potential dragon move on Hariyama or something like that. So this is our main switch in for that mon. Going into the next one, we do have Rotom Wash again this week. We are bringing it with Leftovers again, and we're running a more physically defensive set to try to catch Infernape. This is also a solid switch in for Tinkaton if we do need it. This is also a solid check to the Roaring Moon if it is not set up. It can switch in and then Volt Switch out into Weezing Galar to try to make the most out of it. And also is carrying Light Screen in case Bundle decides to, in case we are worried about Bundle trying to set up and sweep or get set up and sweep with the Terra type. We're also obviously running Thunderbolt and Hydro Pump as stabs, and essentially this is more or less a solid check for Tornadus Therian as well. But we are running a lot of physical bulk on it this week. 188 HP EVs allows the maximum use of Leftovers without forcing everything into the HP and physical defense. Again, this is for physically offensive Infernape. I feel like physically offensive makes the most sense for him. But again, anything can happen with this team. This Rotom Wash set has done me good throughout mocks, so I'm very, very confident in it. And going into the next mon, we are bringing Swampert, one of the transactions from this week, with the Rindo Berry, with an Adamant Nature. The reason we are running a Rindo Berry is because we can get rocks up, potentially, on a Tornadus switch in for an Earthquake. If this thing comes in on Tinkaton, which we always show up on Tinkaton, we always switch in on Tinkaton with Swampert. It gets hardwalled very, very well by Swampert, and Earthquake is essentially a one-shot with 156 EVs and attack with an Adamant Nature. We have 128 HP and 192 special defense EVs just to be specially bulky, and then 32 defense EVs as well. Essentially, with this Rindo Berry and Matt EV spread, we do live a Grass Knot very, very well. I believe it does roughly 40-ish%, 40 to 50% from a Tornadus Therian. So this spread is very good for taking one of those and then flip turning out into, depending on what hazards are on our side of the field. If there are any, we go into Cyclizar, which will be our next pick, or going into Rotom if we do need to. And like I said before with our last pick, we are bringing Cyclizar with an Assault Vest. We are running a Jolly Nature this week with 240 speed EVs, so we can outspeed everything outside of Bundle and Regieleki. Hi everyone, Futures Kippy here. Just to clarify, we do not outspeed max speed Tornadus with this Cyclizar set. I misjudged the calculations and just want to correct myself real quick. We are running a more physical set this week with Rapid Spin for hazard removal, Knockoff once again just to knock off boots or cause some disruption, U-turn for pivoting out because we do have that regenerator ability, and Ice Spinner so we can do some damage to Tornadus Therian and try to whittle it down from its regenerator. We are also running 16 HP EVs and 252 special defense EVs so that we can take a offensive variant decently well with that Assault Vest. Obviously, if we get knocked off, it's not going to do as much. But we do take 2 Focus Blasts from Tornadus Therian from full HP without Nasty Plot and without Modest. So we should be able to win that 1v1 somewhat decently, all things considered, though. I do think this is a very good set to bring this week, especially with the potential of hazards being coming from the other side of the field with Tinkaton and Fernape, Gligar all being able to set up hazards very well. And we needed a solid way to remove them without it being wheezing, because we don't want that to be chipped as much for the Roaring Moon if it does show up. Yeah, that's the team for week 2. Check out Soulblaze's channel. It'll be in the description with the other WPF coaches, as well as in the top right towards the beginning of the video. So go ahead and check him out. I post some very good content over there. And yeah, best of luck to him this week. I'll catch you guys in the battle soon. And best of luck to myself and Soulblaze. Let's have a great match. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the battle. Peace.